What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So, we have some interesting news as former unified three-belt WBA, WBC, IBF welterweight world champion superstar boxer, who is widely considered by many to be top 5 pound-for-pound best fighters in the world, in Errol the Truth Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is now 28 wins, 1 loss, no draw, 22 big wins by way of knockout, 33 years of age, 5'9.5" with a 72-inch arm reach. With that said, Errol Spence is coming off of the biggest fight of his career, where he came up short, to say the least. That was July 29th, Las Vegas, Nevada, T-Mobile Arena, when he faced off against undefeated, now 3-division world champion, former undisputed junior welterweight world champion, now the reigning undisputed welterweight world champion, who is widely recognized as the #1 best pound-for-pound fighter in the world, in Terence "Bud" Crawford. Terence Crawford is now 40 wins, no losses, no draw, 31 big wins by way of knockout. He is 35 years of age, 5'8" with a 74-inch arm reach. With that said, they fought in a highly anticipated showdown that was most people would consider it to be the biggest anticipated fight in the last 10 years, okay? Since we had Floyd Mayweather face off against Manny Pac-Man Pacquiao, that was May 2015, okay? And this was a huge fight. Many people anticipated it was a 50-50 fight if there ever were one on paper, okay? But it didn't turn out to be a 50-50 fight. It turned out to be a one-sided dominant performance in favor of Terence "Bud" Crawford, as Terence Crawford dropped Errol Spence 3 times and stopped him in the 9th round. Dropped him in the 2nd round, dropped him twice in the 7th round, then stopped him in the 9th round, okay? To become the undisputed welterweight world champion. He created history. He became the first welterweight 4 major sanctioned belt holder in history. He became the first male to hold undisputed 4 major sanctioned belts in 2 separate weight classes. And he became the first undisputed junior welterweight world champion in history of the sport of boxing. So Terence Crawford created history, to say the very least, in that fight. Now, Errol Spence and Terence Crawford was so anticipated. Errol Spence was the A side in this fight. He is the big fish, okay? Errol Spence came into this fight. He was more popular, okay? Had more popularity than Terence "Bud" Crawford. He went into the negotiations as the A side. He did the bigger pay-per-view numbers. Errol Spence had multiple pay-per-views. He did one with Mikey Garcia back in 2019, where he did 350,000 pay-per-view buys. Then he did a pay-per-view in September 2019 when he fought Showtime Sean Porter. It did 325,000 pay-per-view buys. Then he fought against Danny Swift Garcia, and that did 315 to 325,000 pay-per-view buys. And then he fought against Yordenis Ugas. It reportedly did about 315 to 300,000 pay-per-view buys. So there is a decline. And then most recently he fought Terence Crawford, that reportedly did 700,000 pay-per-view buys, okay? Terence Crawford did 3 pay-per-views prior to this Errol Spence fight, and Terence Crawford did 50,000 pay-per-view buys reportedly by Top Rank when he faced off against Victor Postol. Then he did 150,000 pay-per-view buys when he fought Amir King Kong, and then he did 150,000 pay-per-view buys when he fought the very same Showtime Sean Porter. So Errol Spence was proven to do bigger numbers than Terence Crawford in negotiations. He was the A side going into the negotiations. Nonetheless, they both agreed to what we're talking about and discussing here is a rematch clause. They both had 30 days to activate their rematch clause from their July 29th showdown. And now Errol Spence is reportedly possibly not going to face Terence Crawford this year, as Showtime President of Sports Stephen Espinosa has reported that essentially Errol Spence's team seems like they're trying to convince him and advise him to not immediately rematch Terence Crawford, take some time off, take a break, okay? And Errol Spence, he stated that he wanted the immediate rematch in December at junior middleweight. He wanted to move up a weight class, and he wanted to have the immediate rematch in December, okay? Stephen Espinosa, he stated that December is just simply too soon for a fighter that was in such a tough fight, a.k.a. Took a massive beating in this fight, took a lot of punishment in this fight. Errol Spence took a lot of punishment. Many people thought the fight should have been stopped in the 7th round, including Terence Crawford. But the fight wasn't stopped until the 9th round. So he went 2 more rounds after getting dropped twice in the 7th round. And so with that said, Stephen Espinosa said that he expects the rematch to take place late next year, if at all. Okay, if at all, sounded extremely strange, seeing as though Errol Spence is a massive competitor. Okay, Errol Spence is a dog. Errol Spence wants this fight. Errol Spence wants his get back. And for Stephen Espinosa to tell the world that he may not even rematch Terence Crawford, and then he stated at best early next year, right? So he said early next year, late next year, if at all. Okay, well, now Errol Spence is running out of time, and his team is trying to convince him. It seems like Stephen Espinosa said that as a team they have to make a decision as a team. I don't understand. If Errol Spence immediately after the fight, now emotions could have been running high, adrenaline is running high, and that could have garnered Errol Spence to immediately state that he wanted to fight. But Errol Spence, he put out a post and he said that everybody's soft. Who raised y'all, right? Essentially referring to the people that continue to say Errol Spence should retire and take some, maybe take a hiatus from the sport of boxing for a while. And Errol Spence, he stated that, who raised y'all, right? Y'all soft. They are the type of people that got ran home from school, chased home from school. That's what Errol Spence stated. So if Errol Spence, if his mindset is to have the rematch and they have 30 days from the fight, we are already August 15th, August 16th, okay? So that means that he has about 2 weeks to make a decision, or Terence Crawford can go elsewhere. And it seems like they want to prolong the negotiations and possibly just allow Terence Crawford to go have another fight. If Stephen Espinosa, like he stated, gets his way, because you can clearly see Stephen Espinosa doesn't advise, if it was up to him, Errol Spence to immediately rematch Terence Crawford. So if that's the case, then they would have to immediately start. As Terence Crawford stated, he hasn't heard anything from Errol Spence. He hasn't talked to Errol Spence. So if he hasn't talked to Errol Spence needs to start reaching out to Terence Crawford, because once the time expires, then Terence Crawford can go in a different direction. He's not obligated to rematch Errol Spence Jr. And he can up the ante at that point in time as well. Now, we know Terence Crawford is a man of his word. Terence Crawford has a lot of respect and admiration for Errol Spence. He stated that Errol Spence has been his favorite fighter for quite some time. He's a huge fan of Errol Spence. And so the fact that he made that statement lets me know, even if the contract expired, that Terence Crawford is going to give Errol Spence his opportunity to get his get back, right? He stated that if it wasn't for Errol Spence, this fight simply would not have happened. It would not have come to fruition. He stated that, this fight would have, went by the wayside, and he was okay with that because he stated that I'm already a Hall of Famer, so I didn't truly need Errol Spence, but I was excited for my legacy and for the fans and for the fact that my kids continue to ask me, am I ever going to fight Errol the True Spence Jr.? So he said that as a fan, he was happy that the fight finally materialized, but he had got to the point where he, just threw his hands up in the air and said it's never going to happen. And so he was okay with the fight just simply not happening. But now he stated that the powers that be was not trying to make the fight happen and wasn't putting their best foot forward. And Errol Spence was the one that put his best foot forward, that Terence Crawford feels obligated and owes Errol Spence, the courtesy to give him his get back. But time is ticking, and Terence Crawford is 36 years of age. Terence Crawford, time is not on his side. He has to stay active. Terence Crawford had this big fight with Errol Spence, but when you look back, Terence Crawford fought once in 2021, which was Kell Brook, once in 2020, which was Kell Brook, once in 2021, which was Sean Porter, once in 2022, which was David Avanesian, and once in 2023. Okay, so since 2020, for the last 3 years, Terence Crawford is only fighting once a year. Okay, at 36 years of age, he has to stay active. And so it raised the question, can we see Terence Crawford possibly fight a guy like former unified welterweight world champion, superstar boxer Keith one-time Thurman, as he waits for Errol Spence, to get ready to recoup and go back into a massive rematch. As Stephen Espinosa stated, let Errol Spence get back in the win column, then go back into a massive rematch. So time is ticking. He's running out of time on the contract, and Terence Crawford is going to be free to do what he wants, but Terence Crawford is a stand-up guy, a man to his word. So when Errol Spence is ready, Terence Crawford is going to give him the opportunity. So let's see how it unfolds and plays out. But that's all I got for y'all. Make sure you hit the like button. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue, Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. I'm gone. Peace.